All right, we'll go ahead and get started. I appreciate everybody readjusting their schedules today to be here this afternoon, and I apologize. We're at various times this week as a staff, we're going on the road recruiting, and I was out early this morning and just got here about 30 minutes ago. So again, I appreciate everybody working around that schedule change today. You know, where we're at right now, just talking about this week, it being a bye week, I think it comes at a great time and a very appropriate time for a couple of reasons. One, I think it kind of gives a natural break from our 3 non-conference games and leading into our first conference game in Rice a week and a half from now. So I think it gives a little bit of a natural separation, and I think it's fitting at least, and it's needed where we are right now. What's transpired in our first 3 games. I think the second thing is it's needed right now because we need a bunch of guys to come back and get healthy. So you know, talking to Mike O'Shea, our head athletic trainer, it sounds like we're going to be getting most, if not all, of the guys back that have been banged up for either 1 game or 2 games or 3 games for our game against Rice next week. So that's encouraging, and again, we need that. So you know, what we're talking to our team right now, and really everybody within our program about, is it's now become a 9-game season, and again, starting with our first conference opponent in Rice next week. So our main goal is still out there in front of us, and that's to win a conference championship. So we had a great team meeting yesterday, and we had a special teams meeting, and offensively and defensively we met, and again went over the UCLA game, and we'll hit the practice fields again tomorrow afternoon, again continuing to work on some things that we have identified that we need to get better at. Some things we're improving on, and we need to continue to improve on them, and start with our game plan for Rice. But I like the attitude of yesterday at 3 o'clock in this Carl Lewis Auditorium of everybody that was in here, players, coaches, support staff. You know, we're all in this together, and you know, we've got some things we've got to get better at. That's no secret, and we've got to get better at those things immediately. And like I told the team yesterday, we need to start playing our best football as a team right now. And that's, if you look at the first 3 games we've played, that's really taking what we did offensively against Louisiana Tech, taking what we did defensively against a tremendous UCLA football team, and playing like that on both sides of the ball on the same night. With that, I will take any questions.
Coach, you mentioned the things that you need to improve on immediately. I would assume tackling, penalties, that kind of stuff, or can you kind of elaborate a little bit more on that?
No, that's really not changing. And I saw great improvement defensively in tackling. And what we talked about last week going into the UCLA game, and again, you know, on paper, going into that game Saturday night, they were one of the top 2 or 3 offenses in the nation statistically. And what we talked about is, and what we emphasized last week defensively, is tackling. And what we talked about last week is with great tackling will come turnovers in 2 different ways, and it showed up Saturday night. One is if we just tackle, we'll get a chance to create fumbles, which we did. DJ Hayden had a great tackle and a strip, and Thomas Bates recovered it. And 2, tackling will reduce the 3rd and 1 and 3rd and 2 opportunities for the opponent's offense and create more 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 9 opportunities for our defense, to where the opposing quarterback then has to throw it, and we can be aggressive and intercept passes. And I think that showed up as well Saturday night. Penalties, again, I felt like against Louisiana Tech, that was unacceptable. We cut that number in half, but it was still 8, and that's still too many. And a couple of those were, extremely costly in the game the other night. We hit the quarterback late, and we come up with an interception, as one example. So that's still something we're going to continue to stress, and we need to reduce. And then offensively, catching the football. And again, I think I say this all the time: you get what you coach. In my mind, meaning you get what you emphasize. And that's going to be something that is on the top of the list offensively moving forward. Tackling, catching footballs at receiver and running back. We emphasized a bunch last week ball security, and while we turned it over 6 times, 5 of them were interceptions and 1 was a fumble by our quarterback. But I thought the skill guys that played, it's no consolation, but they had better ball security when they carried it.
Is this off week come at a great time because you need to recharge both health-wise and signing-wise, just to kind of cleanse out the starters?
It does, and I think both may be a little. It's all maybe coincidental. The bye week just comes where the league, who does your schedule, says it's going to fall. And I think coincidentally it falls at a great time for those reasons. We need to get guys healthy. We need to get our 2 starting offensive linemen back, not to take anything away from Bryce Redmond, DeAnthony Sims, who started in their place Saturday night, but we need to get Kevin Forsch back, Ralph back. We need to get Charles Sims back. We need to get some of these receivers. Larry McDuffie's a guy, first collegiate play, catches a 4-yard pass and takes it 60 more for a touchdown, and haven't really seen him since because he's been out with an injury. So to get those type of guys back, Andrew Rodriguez as well, Kent Brooks at safety, is something we need. So it comes at a great time in that respect. Psyche-wise, I think it unfortunately, sitting here overall at 0-3, it is a good break. Especially now that our next game is a conference game, to where we can now say, and that's that is what we told them yesterday. It is now a 9-game schedule. We haven't won a game and we haven't lost a game. And Tulsa's in first place; they're 1-0. Tulane's in last place; they're 0-1. And everybody else is in the middle. No one else has played. So that's how we've got to look at it and make sure they learn from the video, but that they understand offensively what they're capable of doing, because they showed it 2 weeks ago, defensively what they're capable of doing. And now we've got to do that on a consistent basis 9 times in a row, starting in a week and a half from now.
Tony, you briefly addressed this, but since Charles is kind of like seen as kind of like the face of the offense, what is his status? I heard he was injured Saturday, but I also heard he was sick. So don't know what all you can tell us of how he's looking coming up.
Right, Charles on the second offensive play against Louisiana Tech a week and a half ago, strained a muscle in his leg. And obviously everybody in here knows he continued and played the entire game. So last week he was going to be out Tuesday and Wednesday, and he was going to practice on Thursday. And then Thursday morning he got sick and went to the emergency room, and then could not practice Thursday afternoon. Friday morning we left for Los Angeles. So instead of knowing really his physical condition Thursday like we had hoped to, it was going to have to be literally I say a game time decision, but it was going to see how he does in warm-ups, and he couldn't run full speed, pain-free in warm-ups. So that's when he and Doc O'Shea made the decision that he couldn't go. And when you look at, we game planned going into the UCLA having him and also not having him. And then in the first quarter, we lose Ryan Jackson to a leg injury. So when you look back on what we did offensively the week prior against Louisiana Tech, not statistically, but with personnel groupings in different formations, now literally, 10 minutes into the game Saturday night, of our top 3 running backs, we're down to 1, Kenneth Farrow. So really there goes the 2 back sets and the 3 back sets. And again, we had a plan in case Charles couldn't go. We tried to get into that plan, and we lose Ryan Jackson. So, that's where we're at with Charles. Right now, he's day to day, but our training staff is confident that not only will he play in the Rice game, but that he will be practicing by Friday of this week at the latest.
Couple of extra days, being that Rice is in town. I'm sure you've seen some of them. Can you just talk about what you see from them, and will you guys be at taking their game this week just to kind of do some extra work on them?
Yeah, I mean, we started preparing for Rice Sunday night, so it's it's a staff that's been there. Coach Bailiff's been there for 5 or 6 years now, and has them playing sound. They always play hard, and they're always up to play us. So it's, I told our staff the other day while we are going on the road recruiting this week, we had 2 coaches out yesterday. We had 6 or 7 coaches out today. We'll have 5 or 6 out tomorrow in the morning, but then we'll practice tomorrow afternoon. I said, while we have coaches on the road recruiting this week, and it is a bye week, that doesn't mean necessarily that we're going to be home having dinner every night this week with our families. So, it is, like I said earlier, and I'll repeat myself, it is important that we play our best football immediately moving forward and starting with the Rice game. And that's in all 3 phases: offense, defense, and special teams. So, again, I think different staffs and different coaches handle bye weeks differently. While some will focus on recruiting, we're gonna find that happy medium to focus on recruiting, but just as important, if not more important, our upcoming game against Rice. Coach Bush is in the office all week. He is not on the road at all this week, nor is Coach Bryant. They've been studying him the last 3 days. And I will, again, I just got here about 45 minutes ago, and when this is over, I'll go back and continue watching them tonight.
Kind of a follow-up to his psyche question. What's the cliche? Winning cures, tough things. With this team, to get that first win, is that, you think that's kind of where maybe this team would trigger something, or just to kind of get that first one out of the way and maybe start building off of some momentum?
I would agree with that question. I think as young as we are, we need to experience winning a football game. But in order to do that, there's things that our coaches and our players have to do in a football game to make that happen. And the thing, again, winning one football game, while that's our focus against Rice, I don't want, as I answer your question, I don't want you to think when we win a football game, we're going to be in the locker room hugging and crying and high-fiving and throwing Gatorade on each other, because our focus, we have, including today, there's 68 days left in this football season. That's it. And, you know, to win a game, when we win a game, as soon as the game ends and I address the team in the locker room, the focus is going to turn to next week's game. Because we'll high-five and hug and cry and throw Gatorade on each other when the season's over. But we don't have time for that. And our mindset of everybody in our program right now is just that. You know, I talked to our team yesterday, and going back, and it seems like we just reported for camp and we've already played 3 games, but I reminded them that we have something to prove this season. And again, going back to the question earlier, I think the bye week and the separation from these 3 non-conference games now to the start of our league games could not have been at a better time. You know, and while we have been counting on some freshmen and some inexperienced guys, they've gotten enough experience now in these 3 games. And we've played, you know, you look at Trayvon Stewart, he came in at corner, he started at nickel, and now he's our starting free safety. And I thought played an exceptional game for a guy that played a position that he's never played before. So, you know, I think we've got the pieces to the puzzle in the places where they need to be. You know, I think everybody, again, psyche-wise, mentally, is on the same page and headed in the same direction.